well, here we go. I was getting ready to do some transplanting, and good thing I took a closer look. I'd forgotten there was still ginger in this bin, and you can see that the ginger roots are getting ready to sprout. So they came through the winter okay in the greenhouse. And I may leave this sorrel on here for a little longer. This is sorrel. This is actually a wild edible plant with a very nice tangy flavor to it. It's delicious. Obviously you want to make sure you identify the right one, but that said, if you get an opportunity to have some sorrel, it's delicious. You should try it. Very high in phytonutrients, antioxidants, etc. See more from Arthur Haynes. Anyway, just thought I would share. Oh, another thing, this chaya plant was exposed to some pretty cold temperatures this fall. And this is it's a shrub that grows in like southern Mexico, a pretty southern climate. Was also given to me from Dust Bowl Seeds. And I didn't get greenhouse furnaces up and running early enough this fall to protect it, and it actually ended up getting a little bit of frost. But I set it aside, and I figured I would wait and see, because a lot of times a plant will look dead, and if you give it time and appropriate conditions, it'll come back and show you that it's actually stronger than you thought it was. So I just wanted to show that this chaya plant is coming back. There's all kinds of new shoots coming on, and I'm going to prune these dead tops off it and let it grow. And so it's survived, and it's probably also long overdue for a transplant up to a bigger plot. So we'll probably do that sometime fairly soon also. And we'll just give you a quick shot of it cleaned up, pruned up. You can see I trimmed all the dead stuff off, and only the stuff that has live growth, and you can actually see. I'll zoom in here. This prune right here is a fantastic example. The top part of this is dead, and you can see that it's kind of brown and lifeless. The bottom part of this still has the green in it. Okay, so we're pretty much right back to the green part of the plant, basically. Sorry, very zoomed in. The green part of the plant basically goes from like here on down. So that kind of gives you an idea where to make your prune lines. Obviously that dead piece could come off too. There you go. So while I'm working with this tree, this orange Arctic frost orange tree, I looked in the bucket and I realized our soil had settled quite a bit. There's actually not that much volume of soil as compared to the size of the bucket, and also especially as compared to the size of the plant. When you realize you have a truly healthy plant, there should be about 4 times as much below the ground in root mass as there is above the ground in plant mass. So you can see we're obviously not anywhere near supporting that. Now it's in a high nutrition program, and we're using containers, so it's a little different than in soil. But ultimately, you want to give the plant room to grow. So we're going to add some soil to this. I'm simply going to tip this bucket over and hope that the root ball is nice and tight now, and slide it out. I'll add some soil on the bottom and slide it back in, and we'll try and get our soil line to come up to about an inch or 2 from the top of the bucket, somewhere in there, so we have a water well, nutrition well when we add stuff, but so that there isn't so much vacant space. So I'll take you through the steps. So first phase, you kind of work your way around the bucket. You'll be holding it right side up, and you kind of just flex around the bucket 4, 5, 6 different, 8 different spots to kind of break the soil loose in the wall of the bucket. And then you hold it upside down with your hand supporting this. So you kind of spread your hand under the whole root ball mass and hold it like that upside down, and you kind of gently kind of tap or shake the bucket very gently, otherwise you'll break your root ball up, and it kind of starts to, you'll feel it give way and start to slide out in your hand, and that's when you lay it back on its side like this. And I'll do the next step. So next step is you kind of slope the bucket downhill like this way, tilt it up this way, and you kind of hold the tree by its root ball be careful not to pull too hard. It's easy to tear the root ball loose from the main root mass. You don't want to do that. You'll do a lot of damage to the roots. You kind of let the gravity slide it out of the bucket at your hand, and you just kind of guide it with your hand and help it a little bit. And then once it pops out, you can lay your bucket back like that, and you'll see there's all these roots coming out here. So you can see this is starting to get root bound. It's looking for more space to go to, and it's hitting a stop point. Now again, I said this is in a container, so actually this isn't really root bound as containers go. This isn't bad at all, but we're going to top up some soil underneath it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I think I'll take you for a tour of the bottom of the roots here. I'll just turn this around in a sec. Oh yeah, there we go. So you can see it's just starting to touch the bottom of this bucket. So I didn't actually have to be concerned as early. I'm used to more annual type plants. I don't do a whole lot of perennial stuff, and annuals, when they throw a taproot or a Sika root set down into the ground, they do it very quickly. Especially like corn crops. I mean, corn crops will be, 8-10 feet in the ground, and halfway through the season out seeking nutrients and water. Anyway, so we're just going to add some soil to the bottom of this, and that'll give it space to keep growing down and keep it happy for root space. So the easy way to do that is we take our bucket and we match our bucket height up to our soil volume to get an idea of how much soil we need to add. And we're going to say we need to add about, I'm sorry about the camera hold here, I'm trying to do all different stuff. But basically we're going to say it's about half the bucket we need to fill up. And because we have to remember that it's going to set a little bit underneath it because it's loose soil. So we come down here, we pick a bucket which we know has good soil in it, or we use good topsoil. This soil has been worked with by me for about 3 years, so this stuff is super good. All kinds of trace mineral nutrition, biology, etc. So anyway, I'm going to put some of that in the bucket, and then I'll show you how to drop it back in there. Alright, so you can see this bucket is just about half full. Tip before you go to put stuff in, give it a couple good flops to kind of settle the soil in. Don't go crazy if you have old good organic soil. Don't go crazy cutting it up and tearing it up. You don't want to completely damage all the fungal networks. You want to leave some of those intact. You're disturbing them anyway, but let's not make it harder for them than we have to. And that goes for the other biological communities as well. Those are so critical, so important. So important. Please go see the Start Here thread and check out the MP3 audio files from the Northeastern Organic Farmers Association conference from 2013, as well as 2014, 2015, 2016. You just can't beat that information. Anyway, that said, we're going to get back to this transplant in just 1 second. So this is another step I'm not going to be able to actually show you because I can't hold the camera while I do it. But I got the bucket lined up underneath. I got the plant lined up ready to drop in. You don't want to drop it hard, so bring your bucket up and kind of ease the plant in. Just like we took it out, we're going to use gravity to help us get it back in. And I'll give you an idea of what I mean by that. We're going to take the bucket and hold it at an angle up to the table, and then we're going to slide our plant over into the bucket, being careful not to shave off roots or soil from the edge of the root ball, and then kind of ease it down in there. And as it starts to go, we can kind of tilt it over a little more, and the air will start to come out. Be careful if your soil's a little bit dry, or even if you have fine particles in your soil, as that air spits out around the sides of the root ball coming up, it may shoot you in the eyes. So just be careful about it. Okay, I've done thousands of these transplants like this, various different sizes, a lot of them at this size. They always kind of go in a little cockeyed, so you can kind of see this root ball didn't sit quite straight how I wanted it to. The trick though is to not to try and lift this root ball back up by the tree, because it's very tempting to do that. But if you do that, I guarantee you're going to rip your root ball. If you don't, you're really lucky. So don't do that. Instead, kind of use your hand and just kind of go around and kind of tamp it down in. You gotta remember all that soil underneath is loose too, so you're kind of helping to pack that, and that'll let the roots recover in a natural way and not end up tearing apart your root ball, because remember, your root ball is like, that's where all your exchange happens. You know, your plants are sending exudates and sugar down and feeding the bacterial and fungal communities down there, and those bacterial and fungal communities are consuming sugar, breaking down the nutrients in the soil, and then when they die off, or when they accrete that, that's what the plant takes back up to live off of. That's what true organics really works off of. That's how nature really works. This whole soluble salts thing just makes me sick to even think about it anymore. Anyway, so that's transplanting a tree. Well, effectively transplanting a tree, upgrading the amount of soil in the pot. And I'll come back and give this probably a foliar feed with trace mineral nutrition in it, and a little bit of water. This soil is actually pretty wet. I won't water it too hard. You don't want to rot your root ball. Citrus trees are susceptible to root rot if temperatures go low or something. Well, in my greenhouse that doesn't really happen too much, but it could at your place if you're doing your own stuff and don't have a greenhouse or a warmer area for your citrus over the winter. Anyway, that's that. And thanks for watching. I guess I kind of feel like while we're on the citrus lemon kick, I should come back and share the Meyer lemon trees that were started from seed last year. We've given 4 or 5 of these away to various friends over the last 4 to 6 months. So this is all that's left now. But these were planted from seed about middle or late February last year. And you can see most of them are over a foot tall already. I actually probably should prune these back a little bit and start getting them to fill out into a nice branchy tree. And yeah, I'm pretty excited, and we're gonna have lots of lemons. I gotta tell you, those Meyer lemons are just spectacular. Apparently they were imported from China in like 1913 or 1919, and they're actually a cross with a what kind of orange? It's I want to say bitter orange, but it's not bitter. It's a sour orange. That's what it is. So it's a lemon and sour orange cross, actually, from way back from China. Anyway, beautiful tree, beautiful plant, delicious produce, and propagation has been very successful. I probably will actually take some cuts from these in a little while, and maybe we'll make a video out of that too. So I think this will be the end of the video for the day, but just want to show I got 12 Meyer lemon cuts. This is going to get a plastic bag over top of it to hold humidity in to help the cuts get established, and then they'll go in a relatively low light area. In other words, they won't be in direct sunlight, so they don't get cooked on the sunny days. I'll just show you. You can see I pruned the top of this back a bit, pruned a few other spots here and there on it, and same on these couple that were starting to really reach up. Wanted to keep them kind of bushy. And I apologize for the lack of good lighting. So it gets dark fairly early here in the northern latitudes. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching.